Hello and welcome back to Strongwoman Highs dash Life's a Mishmash. Today we have a very special guest joining us, Jade, the new Harkin.
Hi everyone. It's really exciting now that I can change my name to Harkin because obviously it was Whore before. So like it sounds so much better to be like Jade Harkin rather than Jade Whore because now no one gets to laugh at me anymore. So
that is a fucking fair point. Like, it's not
yeah,
an unfortunate
I
last
wasn't
name. It's
blessed with
just
the
got
best second
not great
name. Yeah,
connotations. No.
that's why I actually got into strongman so I could beat people up if they bullied me.
It's a solid idea. Yeah, I love it. So, do
Yeah.
you want to give the people who don't maybe know you a little brief elevator pitch about yourself? Who are you? What do you do? All that jazz.
Yeah, perfect. I am Jade. I'm from Longford in Ireland, which is like for anyone, because like I'd say most of your listeners are probably from the UK, is like the little county just in the middle of Ireland. And I've been competing in strongman for I think like 2.5, 3 years. This is my third year in it, and I'm Ireland's strongest woman under 82 for the last 3 years as well. And so I
Whoop
won
whoop.
Ireland's on my first like Ireland's was my first ever comp, and I won it. So then I just like I fucked myself over because I was just thrown in the deep end then, and
Set the
like there
standard
was just
too
so much
high.
expectation. I just slowly went downhill from then. But other than that, I am a coach as well. I work with girls mainly for like disordered eating and just on their health and hormones and gut and stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I have 4 dogs and a husband who also is in strongman. That's my life.
Nice. Nice. We like a house with a lot of dogs. We like a house with a lot of dogs, yeah.
Yeah,
Um
we do. We have one
oh
cat as
cool.
well,
So
actually.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, a cat too. Oh, see, I can't have cats. Too many dogs, too many birds. Not a great place for cats at my house,
Yeah. No,
unfortunately.
probably not.
Um, yeah. So you set the standard then pretty high for yourself winning Ireland's first straight off the bat.
Yeah, like there was only well, like this is the way it is with Ireland's like it's not a huge sport in Ireland, so like the numbers in the categories is always really relatively small, but there was only I think like 2 or 3 girls in the category that year. So and I literally just went back and forth between me and Gail, which if people don't know, like she's won the world's strongest UKNS and world's strongest master in the natural, and she had won the 82s the year before as well. And it literally
Yeah.
was like, I won an event, she won an event. I won an event, she won an event. And it literally just came down to the last event. And it just so happened to be sandbag over bar, which I'm really good at. And it wasn't her favorite event. So if it was any other events on the day, I like, because I've never beaten her since. So
Yeah.
like we've gone up against each other, I think like 4 times in total. And I've only ever bet her once. And it was that day. And it was just that like the events were just a little bit better for me. But after that, then I didn't really do much else. It just kind of went a bit downhill then.
That's the hardest thing, though. I feel like if you come out swinging in a sport, and like especially with Ireland's, like because you've not got a massive pool of like girls either competing, have you? So you suddenly like thrust
No.
almost into this like super high standard, and you're like, oh
Spotlight.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was such a
But
baby at the time. Like even when I look back at the videos and stuff, I'm like, oh, you just look so cute. Like even though it was only 3 years ago, like. But after that, like I went to Fit Expo, my next comp after that. Like I've only actually competed in the last, I'd say 3 years. I've only competed, I think I've done like 7 comps is all, 6 or 7
yeah,
comps. So I've literally done fuck all. And like in that
that's
time
not
I've done
a lot
fuck
of
all with the
comps.
fuck all. So no, the only thing like I've actually done properly is win Ireland's for the last 3 years. But like anytime I do any other comp, I just bomb. So,
I don't think it's that.
uh,
The thing is, it's interesting that because I'm like the opposite. I've done hundreds. I can't even count. I don't even know how many comps I've done. It'll be upwards of 30, I reckon. And because I was just like, oh, I just love it.
Jesus,
Let's just
I'm
fucking
gonna catch
send it.
up
But
soon.
then also, I don't think there's not as many comps in Ireland for you guys to do, though, is there? So unless you're willing to travel across to here, then
No,
you've not really got an option, have you?
no, there's literally just I'd say Ireland's there. It's a little bit better now because like we've the Irish Strength Cup and like that was previous the Strong Cup and the Cerberus Cup. But other than that, like
Hmm.
unless because I had won Ireland, I couldn't do the league or anything like that because I wasn't like a novice anymore. because I'd gone to.
Yeah.
So I did Ireland's, and like I was so naive at the time because I didn't understand, because like the weights for Ireland's, like the girls need to be very like, careful with what they choose, like, because it needs to be light enough that they will get actually entries in, but also not too light that
Yeah.
it kind of takes the piss. So it's just finding that fine line. But I was really naive because after I won my first Ireland's, because Donna Moore was the ref there, and we were at dinner, and Donna was like, "Oh, because we qualified for Brits and for OSG Worlds." And Donna was like, "Oh, are you going to do them?" And I was like, "Absolutely, yes, can't wait." Like, and she was like, "Oh, they're really heavy." And I was like, "No, it's fine." Like, I was so naive. And then like I seen the weight of the Brits, and I was like, "I will not be doing it." Did Worlds, but I literally just did it because I wanted to go to America. Like, that was the only reason why I did it. I knew I was going to zero
Yeah.
probably absolutely everything, but I was like, sure, look, it'll be a holiday.
I've been there, done that. Well, did we go the same year? Was it 2022 you did
Yeah,
Worlds?
that was the year that you did Opens.
Yeah, yeah. A shit show with the hurricane, but I did exactly the same thing. Just
Yeah,
went for the crack, and I zeroed everything apart from a sandbag shoulder.
yeah, same. I zeroed everything. I picked up the farmers, and I think I moved them like maybe 2 steps, and then I just dropped them again. Like, I could barely move with them. The fact that I picked them up, like, I
Yeah,
also like pissed everywhere, but like the fact that I picked them up, I was so gassed at myself because they were so heavy. Like, and then I did like the first 2 bags on the sandbag shoulder. But I love sandbag. Sandbag stuff is like my thing. So that was
yeah.
the
I'm
only
with
thing.
you on
Like,
that.
press and deadlift was absolutely no go. Was
No,
not
so
budging.
I didn't even warm up for the deadlift. Me, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna make this. Waste of my
Again, this is
time.
where like when I was warming up, we didn't really know what weights they were, because obviously like I get so confused with like the pounds to kilo conversion. So I'm like whacking the
Yeah,
weights on, hadn't a
same.
clue what it was. And I think our deadlift was like 210, and we weren't allowed to use suits. And I think I thought I had 180 on it, which would have been my max at the time in a suit. And I thought I had 180 on it. And I put it on, and I was like, oh my God, it feels really good. I'm definitely getting a rep. And then I went out there, and I was like, it would not budge. And I was like, it definitely wasn't like what I thought it was in the warm up.
Yeah, I remember
Definitely
warming up for the
miscalculated the
Viking
weights, but
press. I was with Inez and like Annabelle Chapman and all them lot warming up for the Viking press, and I was like, I started warming up, and I was like, yeah, this is all right. This, like, I've got a couple of reps on this, no bother at all. And then they kept adding plates on, and I'm like, someone a minute ago said that was going to be the weight of the Viking press, like with 2 plates on either side or whatever. They was like loading 4 and 5 plates on them, like, these idiots, they're warming up too much. Went out, picked up the Viking press, and was like, nah, I don't know what this is, but it's
it wasn't even
ridiculous.
close.
Nah,
I remember
crazy.
like doing
But
the
anyway,
measurements for like the height for the Viking press, and he was like, pick it up, and I was like, I couldn't even like pick it up without the weights.
yeah,
I was like
empty
struggling. I
on
was like,
the
this is
on the
not going
weigh-in
well for
day.
me.
Yeah, I remember that. It was
Yeah,
awful, wasn't it? It was what a heavy Viking press. It was insane, that, like.
yeah, it was.
But right, okay, let's get to meat and potatoes at podcast. So my first question for you, Jade, is natty or not?
Natty. I think it's again, judging by my performances, I think if anyone would like to question that, I think it's fairly obvious that I'm a natty. Like, I would like, if I wasn't, I would like a refund for whatever I'm supposedly taking.
Just what I feel like
It's
sometimes
just
when
not
people are
good.
like, you should be natty, I'm like, be better if I
Yeah.
was not natty. Much better.
Yeah, like, but like, it's funny when you think of it, because I'm like, if you look at the track record, again, it's like I won Ireland's, but I went to Fit Expo, and I attempted to like break the under 82 Irish record, didn't get anywhere near it.
Mm.
Then went to Worlds, zeroed every event, won Ireland's again, and then went to Europe's. They're literally the only comps that I've done, and like Europe's, but I was like under the guise of a new coach and stuff, went way better than, because like they're similar weights, Europe's and Worlds, like. So it was like the fact
Yeah.
that I didn't zero. The only thing I zeroed was the press at Europe's, and then everything else was good. But like, it's like I said, I think it's a little bit obvious that, which is sad for me.
I don't know. I think it's nice, but yeah. So
Yeah.
natty then. So I think that
Yeah.
the next question I'm going to ask then is, what was the reasoning for not doing the natty pathway this year? So I know we were discussing it earlier, and I just want to know what your thoughts were on not competing in it this year.
Okay, so I'm sure like everyone has probably listened, who's going to listen to this has probably listened to your first podcast. And I think it's like anyone, I think most people know who it's about. I am one of those people in that story. And I think for Natural Strongman, they said that they would, for the safety of the athletes, for the safety of Natural Strongman, they kind of put in a clause where they were like, if you have taken anything or like a small amount of stuff, like obviously there's like a fine line. They know if like, you know, if you're kind of on heavy gear or like you've taken full cycles of stuff. But I suppose it's just to kind of give athletes like me a chance who were potentially pressured into doing something that they didn't want to do, or kind of did something briefly and realized, okay, no, I've made a big mistake here, which is what happened to me, but was under the guise of a coach who had kind of different intentions for me, and just didn't kind of allow me to, was just very pressuring and very manipulative. And
Yeah,
it's just to give us a chance to actually come into that natural scene, because like I said, it's very hard unless you're actually either going to like take stuff or not take stuff. If you've like I said, for like people like me who were pressured into taking like a small amount of stuff for a very brief amount of time before realizing not for me, they put that 2 year clause in. So I said I would just
yeah,
respect that and wait 2 years and just make it very clear. So I've with my current coach for 2 years now. So
yeah,
um it's just to give it that break so that people can't be like, oh well, what if, or like this or that, or like that people can't be saying anything. That it's just a definite and following the rules. Strongman, natural strongman are making up rules, like, do you know what I mean? It's just very by the book then, and people can't give out
yeah,
about.
yeah. Yeah, so I think for if people haven't listened to, I think it was our first podcast, they're welcome to our PED talk that we did, me and Jenny.
Yeah,
And yeah, just a quick recap on that story was basically that I think, well, people were gonna get outed for the natty pathway this year, weren't there? Because there was rumours that people
yeah,
had taken drugs, but then that came back that it maybe wasn't full cycles, and that there might have been a little bit of peer pressuring and manipulation going on behind that. So, yeah, that was the story. If you want to
yeah,
listen, you can go back and listen to the podcast and find out all the gossip that we talked about there. But yeah, so
yeah.
that was your like decision then to stick by those rules. And I know they've brought out that 2 year clause to say that. How did you feel about missing out on it this year? What were your feelings around it?
To be honest, at UKNS this year, so last year at Worlds, I was like, oh, I'd love to be here. Like this whole year, even for INSF and stuff, I was like, oh, I'd love. But at UKNS, I was like, because the standard was so high in the 82, I was like, do you know what? I'm actually quite happy that I'm not here. I was like, I need another year, like to even be competitive at this. You know what I mean? Because like I would, and again, I'm not toot my own horn, but because the pool is so low in Ireland, I probably would have won INSF and then gone into UKNS obviously as like the Irish favourite, and then I probably
Yeah,
would have not have met the standard. So I'm kind of glad that when I'm going into it this year, I'll actually be ready, because it's fucking heavy. Like there's not that much difference between the tested and untested now. Like the standard
absolutely
is
not.
really, really high, and I would
Yeah,
like that when I do like go into it, like the international comps, that I'm actually able to be competitive. Do you know what I mean? And at the moment, like
yeah,
looking at the UKNS and like where I was kind of at, I was like, I probably wouldn't have been as competitive as I would have liked to have been. So I was quite happy to sit it out, to be
yeah,
honest. I know because Worlds is in Galway and just where the venue is and everything, I know I'm just gonna have FOMO from like that aspect of things. But again, I'm like, I'm happy just to sit back and grind away, and when it's my turn, it's my turn.
yeah, yeah. That's a great mentality to have about it. Um, do you want to talk about what you took or no?
I don't mind. I won't go into specifics.
Yep.
But I don't mind saying kind of like the story behind kind of what happened, and just for people, because like I was obviously very public about um what happened, because I like it got to a point where the person who was like I was obviously previously coached by was trying to like back me into a corner, and like I'd say, like, you know me, like, and stuff, I'm quite, not that I'm vocal, but like I stand up for myself. Like, I have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't going to be backed into a corner by someone like that. And it just annoyed me. So I was like, well, if you're going to try and be a dick about the whole thing, well, I'll be a dick right back. And
Yeah.
so what like basically happened is I was very sick for probably about nearly up to a year. Just like a really stressful situation happened in my personal life, and it just triggered an array like of health issues and stuff. And I was basically like bedbound for a good couple of months, and I was slowly coming out with that. And I was like, do you know what? I'd love to kind of have something like a goal or something to focus on. So joined with this coach, and we wanted to do a photo shoot. And I have always been someone that kind of like not struggles with their weight, but like if I want to like get really lean or like lose weight and stuff, my body just, it's just very slow to do that. Like, it's a very hard process just because my body is like, my nervous system is really sensitive, and like just between like health issues and inflammation and everything like that, it just makes it a little bit harder. And
Yeah.
he kind of had said to me that he would love, because I, so as well, I used to be a professional swimmer, and like I swam for Ireland, and I worked with horses all my life and stuff. And I was a PT and a coach leading up to this. And I have, like, I've always had quite a lot of muscle mass, especially like in my upper body because of swimming and horse riding. Like, they're very like upper body dominant
Yeah.
sports. And when I joined with him, obviously I kind of lost a little bit of that muscle mass, but then I kind of gained it back quite quickly and stuff. And he had actually said to me, he's like, he'd love that if I could do like a show stopping photo shoot where I was like super lean because I have like a great physique, and you know, the amount of muscle mass, like I would have looked great. But my body was just like, it just was like, it wasn't dropping. Like, he was dropping my calories, I was doing the cardio, and like I am very, like, if I'm given like a plan and I'm like, you know, I'm very like, I'm just going to stick to that plan. I'm like 100%, I'm all in. I'm either 0 or 100. Like, that's the way
Yeah.
I am. And I was sticking to everything and nothing was really happening. And he was kind of like, well, you know, there's this thing called Clen. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea because, you know, health issues. And it basically,
Yeah.
and again, this just goes to the naivety of it. And he was just like, nothing's going to happen. And we had kind of become friends at this point. So, you know, when you're friends with someone and you think that they obviously have their best interest in heart, and this is kind of how the whole year, like why I lasted a whole year with him, is because I was still quite like, oh no, he's my friend. Like, he would never want like anything bad to come to me, because like that's what he would say all the time. He's like, I would never see any harm come to you. I would never
Yeah.
recommend you to do anything that like, you know, is going to have any lasting effects or like anything. And so took the Glen for like, I think I lasted maybe about 8 days or like less than 10 days anyway. It was a little bit over a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, I actually can't do it. Like, just the shakes, and like I just couldn't, like, my weight actually went up when I started taking it initially, because I think my body was just under so much stress that it was just retaining so much water. Like, my inflammation was going to the
Yeah.
roof. And I had said this to him and he was like, no, you just need to write it out and stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stop because I actually can't. And then obviously got to the photo shoot, and like he had said to me as well that he was expecting me to look way better. And like, it was just mean. Like, looking back, I'm like, how did I like put up with that and not be like, shut up, you dick. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like I look great and but I just wasn't that like, you know, like I wasn't shredded, I wasn't like super lean. Like, I was in great shape, but I wasn't like, you know, like bodybuilding stage lean, because that's kind of what he
Yeah.
wanted. Like, I had, like, that was his vision, and to be honest, it was mine too. I was like, I'd love to get like that, but it just wasn't possible, like at the time for me, with just all my
Yeah.
issues and stuff. So that was grand. After the photo shoot was done, I, like, Jack had obviously been competing. Jack's my husband, for anyone who doesn't know, was competing in strongman. And I had kind of done like a couple of events and stuff, like a couple of sandbag carries, you know, a couple of farmers carries or whatever. And I was like, do you know what would be cool? I was like, we could do a comp. And he was like, well, Ireland's is in March. So, or yeah, I was in March at that time. He was like, we'll go for that. So I was like, grand. So we started training for that. Grand. Then after that, because I'm like, I was quite a good deadlifter, and he stuck me in a suit quite early. So like, and like, I, with a deadlift, my hardest part is from like the floor up. I could lock out
Yeah.
anything. Like, I have a really, really strong lockout. So once he
Yeah.
stuck the suit on me, because it obviously helped that bit, my deadlift shot up. I had like put on like an extra 30, like I pulled 170 for the first time in my suit. I think the most I'd ever pulled was like 140 before that.
Yeah.
And then after, he was like, you're a really good deadlifter, let's push this, like you can definitely break the record. And then it was kind of coming up to it, and he'd kind of been on to me like, oh, you could probably take this, that. And I was like, I don't really want to, grand. Then I got sick probably about a month and a half before the record. And I wasn't able to eat for like a week or two. Like my weight, like I lost so much weight. And then after, when I came back, obviously my strength was like in the fucking bin. And he was like, I don't think you're going to get this record unless you take stuff. So I
Yeah.
was just like, okay, let me think about it. And then we were like, he was just like constantly every day, like, oh, I think, this is the right decision. Again, with the like, I would never see any harm come to you. This is not going to have any effect. Like when you take stuff at a small dose, like it's not. And like, I didn't know much about steroids. Like I hadn't a clue about them. I was like, just taking what he was saying to me as like, oh, okay, well, if he's saying like, there's this man that's coach that like is really knowledgeable in this area, obviously he's right. Do you know what I mean? Like I was just taking what he was saying
Yeah.
as face value and like didn't do my own research or anything at all. So took some Anavar, and then like my strength, like I didn't see any like improvements in my strength. And then again, my like the inflammation in my body, I kept getting these like rashes in my eyes. My like body would like my joints were getting really sore again. So I was like, I just need to stop. But he was like adamant, and there was a lot more that he wanted me to take as well. I won't say what, but there was a lot more that he was like, you could take this and you can take that. Like if we just took this a week out from comp, if you took this on comp day, and it was just constant. And like I was constantly like voicing my concerns and like my health concerns, and he was just like, it's grand, this has nothing to do with the drugs. Like it has nothing to do with anything. That's just your body,
Yeah.
it's just the way you are. Like was just very manipulative about the whole thing. So I was like, do you know what, me and Jack kind of were just like, I actually think it's easier if he just thinks that I'm continuing to take stuff and
Mm-hmm.
you just stop. And that's what we
Yeah.
did. At the time, we were like, because like I obviously didn't think, oh, like I need to compete in natural strongman in like 2 years' time, or like, I wasn't thinking of the future. I was just thinking in that moment, right, this is going to make my life easier because this man won't fucking shut up about
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
we were like, grand, we'll do this plan. It's going to be an easy plan. He thinks that you're fucking taking stuff. Like I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't really making any progress on it either. I never really made any progress with him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But did the record, failed the record. Then I left him after that because I was like, I need a break. I just want to kind of do my own thing because I just couldn't obviously deal with the pressure. I was like, and I don't know why I went back to him for Worlds, but I think it's because I didn't really know. Again, I was so new in the sport, didn't really know anyone else, and he was kind of the only coach that I knew of. So I was like, right, I went back to him then so like that was in June, and I took a break after, or July, one or the other, and I took a break then until my prep for natural worlds. Didn't get coached by him. Was just kind of doing my own thing, tipping away, like doing stuff. We were still like, again, we were friends, so we were constantly chatting and stuff. Like it's not like we just
Mm-hmm.
had no contact. And then texted him, was like, right, I'm ready to get back into my prep for natural or for OSG Worlds, and that was grand. And the same thing happened again. So I was like, right, okay. I kind of, because I was obviously working on like my own health and kind of getting my body into a good position. So I was like, right, maybe things might be a little bit different. So took stuff for, I'd say, maybe 2 weeks max, and the same issues happened again. So I was like, right, we're just gonna do the same plan again, and went to OSG and bombed everything. So
Yeah.
that was basically the story. It was just a year of, and then it was like at OSG that I was talking to like my now coach Maddie, and like I had given up completely. Like mind, body, soul was just so in the bin because like when I was sending Matty like my programs and stuff, because obviously he just wanted to know kind of what I was doing. He was like, what is this? And like, because like 1 week I'd be able to do farmers, and then the next week I'd fail 60 kilos. And then I was just so up and down, and like that was obviously playing with
Yeah.
my emotions, and I was just completely all over the place. And I was so like mentally and physically drained by OSG. I was like, no, I actually can't go back. Like, and I need to make a change. So didn't know really Matty at the time. Like I'd obviously seen him kind of at comps and stuff, but didn't actually like know him. But when we were all over at OSG, we obviously, got to know each other and stuff. And I'd seen obviously how good Aisha and Mary had performed at OSG. So I was like, right, I think, and I kind of seen the way that he was with them. And like when you're hanging out, you can kind of see how they are with their athletes. Like, I need someone
Yeah.
that's going to be there for me, that isn't also like babying me, but
Yeah.
isn't like completely nowhere to be found. because that was another thing at OSG. Like there was just no support. Like he didn't say anything to me. There was no like, how did you get on in that event? It was just very like, you're on your own, which for my second comp, well, third technically, you know, wasn't
It's a
good
big
enough.
step.
So when I was over
No.
there, I switched coaches then. Um, and then I've been with Matty ever since. And that's basically the
Yeah.
story. So
No.
I'd say like
Thanks for telling it.
I know, yeah, Jesus. I was like, I don't know how long I talked there. But that's a
That's
brief
great.
rundown of it. And of my first year in Strongman, my very first naive year in Strongman. But like I was saying at the start, like I think that's why Natural Strongman created the like 2-year rule. It's not for people obviously who have been like heavily taking stuff or like have gone down like a proper cycle or anything. It's just for like people like me who have, you know, dipped their toe in essentially and then been like, what the fuck am I doing? This is not good.
Yeah.
And then like has never gotten really any benefit from it. Like at no point,
Yeah.
like my lifts have never gone, like my lifts have only gone up since I've gotten with my coach, which I think is like the main, like, I suppose show tell that like I was never actually taking anything that would have had a huge effect on anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you didn't get the progress while you were
No.
taking anything, I think is the point, isn't it? And I think this
Yeah.
leads us on nicely to our next bit, which is obviously UKNS. So we've spoke about the 2-year rule, which I think is really good. The only problem being that it's very easy now to abuse that rule, isn't it? Because it means
Yeah.
that anyone, realistically, who's taken like cycles that have altered the way that they train and their abilities, is now able to go, oh, well, I'm 2 years clean, so I'm a natty. And it doesn't
Yeah.
really work like that, does it?
No, like it's fine. And I think hopefully a lot of people will just be like morally correct in being like, you know, this isn't for me. Let's not be a dick. But unfortunately, there
Yeah.
is going to be people that, you know, they don't give a shit. They just want titles. They want fucking, they want to win. They want, you know, to be the best, to be seen as the best or whatever. So they're going to abuse it. But I think the thing that they're bringing in, which I like, I find really interesting, I can't wait to like hear more about it, is I like, I'm sure you've seen it, is about the hair strand tests and the lie detector tests, because like
Yeah.
that's like even just the like not threat, I wouldn't say it's a threat, but like even just like the note of that, people will be like, okay, fuck, if I like if they lie detect test me, I'm gonna, you know, probably fail, and then like it'll deter them from even going into it in the first place rather than getting there. Like, do you know what I mean? Not that it's a
Yeah.
threat, but like it's going to stop people, I think, from the get-go of just being like, okay, well, if they're taking these measures, maybe like I could get caught.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so. I think the hardest thing is obviously that regardless of like the sort of, I know we're saying it like a threat, but it isn't really. It's just like the overhanging idea of the fact that there's the lie detectors
Yeah.
and the hair strand test. Because I think hair strand's only good for 6
Yeah.
months. And obviously lie detector is like
I think it depends on
hit and
what
miss
it
whether it
is, but
works.
you can, yeah, I think it depends on what it is. And I don't know, like, because I did, fun fact, forensic science in college. So like
Nice.
hair testing would have been one of the things that I know. Yeah, it's so random. I've never used it in my life. But you can test depending on what the substance is. You can get stuff there for like up to a year, I think. But I don't know if
Right,
that is
okay.
that like related to steroids or like other drugs, like, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well, because I think with UKNS it's interesting because they test for anabolics, and obviously they have banned substances. So like I've obviously been out and contacted them when I did my bicep because I wanted to know if peptides were on the banned list, because I know that a lot of recreational drugs aren't on the banned list. They're not testing for them. So like if you're a weekend
Yeah,
sniffer, you're good. You can compete in UKNS as long as you're not sniffing it on
like
comp
go for it.
day.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, I asked them about peptides and they said, yeah, they're on like our banned list. We're not taking them. But again, not something that can be tested for. So it's very much down to athlete integrity, which I think in the majority is very good. But you always get
yeah.
outliers that are not so moral.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, it's funny even because like when I went, I love saying like when I went public as if it was like this big thing, but like, you know,
It
when
was
the whole story, I
strongman
know, yeah, like
scandal.
as if I like was in the newspapers. But when like I kind of said, like, told the story or whatever, like, there was so many people that texted me and was like, look, you're not the first, you're definitely not the worst. Like, and there's people that know people who are currently competing in UKNS that, like, years ago would have taken stuff, and, like, do you know what I mean? It's just like, they're like, at least you're being open and honest about it, which is like the only thing that I want. Because, like, if someone was, say, in my position where they were pressured and, like, just completely naive and stuff, at least then it kind of opens a discussion, and it opens, like, a safe space for people to actually be like, oh, that was me, and it can lead to then more openness and more, like, you know, just awareness around the whole thing. And then that way there's not this, like, hidden, like, ooh, did this person do that or whatever. Like, people might actually just be a
Yeah,
little bit more honest about it if, you know, there is a safe space and there is that openness around the whole topic, like, which only is going to be better for
yeah.
the sport if people are just actually honest and open about the whole thing, like.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is if we can be more honest and open and we can talk about it more openly, then it's better for every side of the sport, not just the natties. It's better for the untested as well, and
Yeah.
especially in terms of women, because there's no information really about steroid use or SARMs or
No.
anything. So like that was one of the main reasons of starting this podcast, so that we could talk about this sort of stuff and go like, we can talk about this, like it's not quiet, it's not under the rug, like we can just openly talk about it and get as
Yeah.
much information out there as we can, so that it's a
Yeah.
safer space for women altogether.
Mm. Absolutely.
But
Yeah, because, like, it takes away that guilt and the shame as well. And, like, you know, like you said, there's only good things can come from just having a safer space around the whole thing. And like that, then, say, people who are kind of more experienced with taking stuff can, like, maybe give their side to, like, someone who is, you know, unexperienced and, like, wants to go down that route. And then they could be like, well, you know, this is not a good thing to do that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just going to give more
yeah,
information for people who do want to go down that route. And then that way
yeah,
they're going to end up being safer, you know, in the long run for them. I know there's no safe way of actually taking them, but there is a safer way, I suppose, of doing
yeah,
things.
definitely, yeah. And I think that this is the whole point, because I think sometimes it can come across like, especially, I know that everyone has an absolute bitch fest about their natties, don't they? Because like, oh, you're natty, nobody actually cares. We're aware no one cares about us. We know,
Mm.
but I think
Yeah.
we're not
We
against
don't care.
drugs. Like
We
I'm
don't
not
care about
against
us.
heads. No, no, exactly. Like we're not
Yeah.
against heads. We're not against drugs. It's just trying to create an even playing field for all of us, so that we can all have a nice time
Yeah.
doing our adult sports day. It's like fucking leave us alone.
Yeah.
But on that other side, like if you want to take drugs, that's fine. That's cool. The sport is there for that. Like fucking hell, the top end of this sport, that's
Mm.
the majority of it is that. And that's absolutely fine. If that's what
Yeah.
people's decisions are, then that's okay too. But for people who don't want to make that decision, then there needs to be something else, doesn't there?
Yeah. Absolutely. Like you said, just having, like, that level playing field where it just gives other people a chance to actually excel, because it is really hard. And I think, like, say, obviously the likes of Chloe, even you, like, have shown that you can, you know, hang with the untested girls. But for the majority of us, like, it's not possible. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is never going to be. And now I don't know, because I'm obviously so new into the sport, but I know for a lot of people anyway, they're like, even if they were to do absolutely everything right, train for years, like, you know, do everything 100%, they're still never going to get, like, just genetics wise, you know, like, there's just certain
Yeah,
people that are like that. And then it just
yeah,
gives them a place in the sport as well, that, like, they don't feel like, oh, I'm never going to get anywhere, like, this is completely pointless.
yeah. It's a place so that it's not disheartening all of the time, because it can be like competing as an atty in the untested
Yeah.
can be super disheartening, and it does. Like I would say, it does feel unfair sometimes, and you're there and you're like, for fuck's sake, this isn't fair. So at
Yeah.
least with the natties, you've got a fair
Yeah.
playing field for people, and it's just yeah, I love what
Yeah.
they're doing, and I think it's really good. It's just I think they've got an absolute uphill struggle of a job to try and get these policies in place to make it as fair as possible without it being so ridiculous that no one can actually compete because you can't use your inhaler or whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely. But, like, I don't know,
But
like, the three lads, they're so invested into this and everything, and, like, I can, like, they're honestly so good that, like, I know that they will. do it, and like they,
Yeah,
because they all do it from for the love of the sport. It's not for like their
yeah.
own gain or like their own pockets or anything. It's literally just for the love of the sport. So like they absolutely will, like no matter how long it takes or anything, they'll make sure. Sorry, my cat has come in and he's just screaming. They'll make sure that like it is like a really high standard, fair, good quality. Look, he's there in the background there. I think he wants out.
I'm making a cameo.
1 sec, I'm gonna let him out.
That's all right.
Nope. Oh, sorry, I'm back. Animal farm around here.
Yeah, no, I think what they're doing is really good, and it's only going to grow. It's grown so much in the last 3 years. Like it's going to be 4 years. It's going to be massive in it
Yeah.
this year, and next year I think is going to be it's going to be hard to get in. To be honest,
Yeah.
I'm
It's only
concerned
gonna
because
get
I'm going to
better
have to do
every
full
year.
pathway
Like,
again.
oh dear, I think you'll be fine. Let's figure it.
Yeah,
I think
because I
you'll be
missed
fine.
UK's. I'll have to do England's. Now watching it this year, I was like,
You,
fuck.
yeah, you obviously qualify for Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, auto qualify for Worlds, so I'll be able to do that. But then it means if I want to do UK's next year, I'll have to do England's UK's because I can't just go back to UK's again.
Are you sure? Because if you win Worlds, say this year again, I think you qualify for UKNS because Kyle didn't do well, he didn't do UKNS actually either. But I still think he could have. But he didn't do Ireland's. Like he didn't do INSF.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I might just do England's for funnies. There was a little bit of a discussion that
I
I
was gonna
might
say,
I
I was
might do
like,
the Opens next
you
year.
probably need a good couple of comps. How is your bicep feeling anyway? Well, I know it's fine because you're back being an animal, but which is very disheartening
Yeah,
for
it's
me.
good.
So like I was full sure for the Irish Strength Cup that I was like, I'm gonna kick Becca when she's down. It's probably gonna be my only chance to ever potentially come to those. And now I'm like, you start posting your training videos again. I'm like, well, fuck that idea. It's gone to fuck now.
Gary. Yeah, no, I feel like I'm on pretty
ruined
good
my
form
fun.
to be honest. Sorry,
Yeah,
everybody.
you
You
are
all
like,
thought you were going to get an easy run of me this year, and unfortunately, I've decided you're not. But yeah, so
I feel like
following on from
it's
that.
fake news. Sorry, I'm just gonna say I think your bicep is fake news. I feel like you pulled a stunt to try and throw us all to think that, and you're like, "Ha, bitches, have never been
Just
gone."
kidding. This is actually just
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah.
I didn't even go to hospital. I was on a set.
Yeah, Grey's Anatomy.
No, well, to be fair, I'm surprised at how fast my recovery was because I'd 100% set myself up for this year to go. You're not going to be good enough to do like Europe's or Natty Worlds, and you're just going to have to take the L and be like, right, come back in a year and do it. And I've shocked myself, I think, with the recovery that I had. It's just been way better than I expected, and like my head's been a bit of a hard one to like talk myself around a lot of the time, but I feel like that's a manageable thing for me to do. Whereas like if it was I was in pain all the time, I'd be like, fuck this, I can't do it. But I'm not. Like I don't feel the pain.
Yeah.
Like I've got forearm pain because obviously like your nerves are all a bit fucked around the site, but that's like I know what it is, so I'm just like, fuck off, I'm ignoring that. Crack on.
Yeah, that'll be okay. Like,
yeah, absolutely fine. So, well, moving on from that then, Irish Strength Cup.
so excited about it. Like I think I'm most excited for this comp than I am for like any other comp that I have this year. And like it doesn't obviously like when you win it, like it doesn't like get you to qualify for anything else. Like it doesn't get you like a title as per se. Like so there's nothing actually in it, but like I really want a podium. I think it's just because of for Mark, like, you know, that I would love to just go give it socks like.
100%. Well, I feel exactly the same. Like, there's a few of us coming over for it, and we've all been talking about how excited we are for this comp. Like the fact it's outside a castle, win. Like it's for Mark. It's the events are class. Yeah, it's going to be such a good day.
I absolutely love the event. I've never had a chance to do like, you know, like an overhead where it's actually like testing my overhead because like, so the most I've ever pressed in a comp is 65 kilos, which like I know is like, say for like normal people is quite a lot, but when you look at like the under 82 category it's not anything. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, I wouldn't have even, do you know what I mean? Like the starting axle at UKNS was 70 kilos. But it's because
Yeah.
I've either been in Ireland's where like the weight has to be kind of like normal so that people will do it, or
Yeah.
OSG where it's like 100 kilos. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
never been an in
Yeah.
between. So I'm actually really excited to like
No.
go and see what I can actually hit, because do you know they obviously train and it'll go well, and then like on comp day, you know, you might shite your pants, and like you could hit 80 quite easily in training, and then on comp day it might not be there, like for whatever
Yeah.
reason. So I'm actually excited to see what I can hit in an actual comp that, you know, is my strength, not someone like,
Yeah.
not the fucking 100 kilo OSG strength.
Yeah. No, it's going to be super exciting. So we've got max axle, deadlift for reps, isn't there? And that's a choice of weights. Is it farmers? No, farmers. Yeah.
No, who's fell?
Oh
There's
yeah.
no farmers.
Oh shit! I don't know what I'm thinking about then. I'm clearly taking it real
Europe's with
serious.
farmers. Yeah. Europe's with
um.
farmers. That's why you think.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So who's the
yeah,
fell, and
power
then
stairs,
power stairs, bag throw.
bag throw, and the natural stone lifting.
Yeah. Have you had a try of the natural stone lifting?
No, not yet, because the stone that they're getting for us, so like there's really cool backstories to the stones that we'll be lifting, like both for the men and the women. Like the men's stone, like actually sits in Clare Galway, just on like someone's like path. Do you know what I mean? And like it's
Nice.
across from a church. So what they used to do years ago is, all like when they would all go to church, all the men would come out and they would have like a test to see who was the strongest, and they would see who can get the stone from the path back over to the church. And you know, like they would have runs of it, and that's what they would do
Yeah.
after church on a Sunday. So that stone
That's
has just
class.
like been left there. Yeah, so they're allowed to take that up to the venue, which is only like a couple of minutes from the church, so it's fine. And then the one that we'll be
Nice.
lifting is like in some field somewhere, still just chilling, like just having a good time.
Great.
So I haven't had a chance to go to it, but I know, yeah, it's meant to be. I think it's like 120 kilos. Matt, he was saying around that. So
Right. Okay. And then is it going to be the same
yeah,
as the
and they're
men's? So
doing,
you get points for like picking it up, points for lapping it,
yeah,
points for getting it to your
yeah,
chest.
the same as they do at the Arnold's. Like you get points for I think you might get points for air, and then you get points for lap, and then to chest. They're not letting us shoulder
Okay.
it in case, because they're obviously stones that are like historical stones. We're not allowed shoulder in
Yeah, I
case
don't
it
want to
like
drop them.
flies, you know, somewhere and like
Yeah.
chips or something. So we'll only be able to chest it so that we can drop it straight back down onto the pad. Now they
Yeah.
might have changed that, but that's the way he was saying the last day. So I think it's like 1 point if you get air, 10 points if you get to lap, and then like 80 or something if you get to chest.
Cool. Yeah, I thought that
So
would be
that'll
the
be really
case.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be super exciting.
I
And
was like,
so
there'll be people
it's
just like
me,
trying to row
you.
it, just filled in the points.
Just get as many points as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's me, you, Aisha, Molly.
Yeah.
Who else?
Molly is coming over. Danielle Groom is doing it. You know, Killian, his sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's doing it. There's a girl called Megan Jennings who competes in the under 73 category. She's doing it. There's a girl called Sorka Foy who also competes in the under 73 category. She's doing it. There's a girl called Tirza who competes in my category in the under 82s. She's going to do it. And there's definitely a few more now that I've just completely brain farted on. As I said to you,
That's
I was like, I
okay.
know everyone doing it. Now I can't think of anyone. But no, there is a good lot of us. And it's a good mix of like there's people in the under 73 category, there's people in the under 82s, then there's the open girls.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a nice mix of people there. So it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. What are your predictions then? Give us top 3 predictions.
Right, I'm not going to say the order because I don't want to upset anyone, but I predict me, you, and Aisha per podium in whatever order.
I'm gonna.
I'll be happy with third. Let's put it that way. And then
I'm gonna say, because
whatever you want.
I didn't know until you guys started posting the videos that Aisha was actually doing it. So I always thought it was just going to be me, you, and Molly. But obviously Aisha doing it now has thrown it into the mix. So I think it's just going to be an absolute battle for top 4 between us 4. I think. Sorry everybody else, but
Yeah.
I'm putting out.
I'd say Danielle will be up there as well.
Yeah.
Danielle's quite strong. So I'd say she's been doing strongman for so long as well, like, so she's very experienced. She took a break and when she had her kid, and like she's back the last year and stuff now, so she's still kind of like
Yeah.
coming into her own after having the kid, but like you can't underestimate her, you know, that kind of way. So I'd say she'll be definitely like, that'll be top 5, I can imagine,
Yeah. Yeah.
just in
I'm
whatever
gonna win
order. But
though.
I want that podium. Okay, you could do that. I'll let you have that. No problem.
I
I'll let
need
you have it, just because, you know, you need the confidence after your biceps, so I'll let you take it.
exactly. I need the
Very kind of you.
redemption. That's what I've decided. Thanks, Jade.
Yeah, that's no problem. I'll give you that.
So
Oh.
we've got quite a few comps coming up together, actually, haven't we? Quickly, like we'll go over what we're doing. So
Yeah,
Europe's is next, which you're taking very seriously, aren't you?
yeah, yeah. Because
Nice.
last year, I feel like I'd made so much progress in, like, since I started working with Matty, and I just feel like I let myself down hugely at Europe's. Like, I didn't do badly. I didn't zero. Like, I only zeroed the press. Like, I didn't zero anything else. But from my training, I knew I had so much more, especially on the yoke, and on sandbags. I just feel, because like sandbags are
Yeah.
like my thing, and I just feel like I let myself down. But it was pure nerves, like, because that was the only comp. Because like I was saying, like, I'd given up before I'd gone to Worlds. Like, I knew I wasn't going to do anything at it, so I had like no pressure on myself. Whereas because I knew I could actually be competitive, and like with the girls that were there, I was like, I can definitely be a bit competitive here. I like
Yeah.
put, so not pressure, but like I just shat the bed. And because there's so much time in between each event, like you really need to manage your adrenaline. Because like normally when you do a comp, you have like first event nerves, and then you kind of get them out of the way and you just get into the flow of it, you know, and you're grand then. But you have so
Yeah.
much time in between the events at Europe's that you have time to build back up those nerves again. So that's what I just
Yeah.
did. I just was nervous for every single event, and my legs just were like blocks of jelly and couldn't do anything. So I really
Yeah.
just want to go back, and not that I don't want a specific place in, I don't want to do that, but I just want to perform the way that I know I can in like a
Yeah.
competitive environment. That's my biggest thing for Europe's.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And I think Europe's is it's when the events got released, I was a bit like this isn't very motivating or exciting, but now the weights are out, and also the prize money for podium is legit. Like I think third place is like $1,000, second place is 1,500, and first place is $2,500. So like I am gunning for that podium. Like
Nice.
I need to make some money back.
Yeah. I can see like this, like you're just looking, so I can see this year you making podium. Like you were what, fifth last year? Fourth? Fifth?
Fourth, so I just missed out on the podium behind Annette.
Fourth.
But I know Annette's not doing it because she's trying to have a baby, and Donna's, I think, doing the
Yeah.
Open, so she's out my way, and
Donna's doing the
Sunny's not
open.
doing it
Yeah.
either. Yeah, so there's my top three
Oh, is she
gone.
not? Okay. Oh, right.
Yeah,
So
so
first is all yours.
well, the
Because I
stage
know
is open
Laura,
for
I
me.
know Laura's doing the opens too. Yeah, because I know Laura's doing the opens now too, because she was meant to be doing the
Yeah,
under 82 last year, but she obviously pulled out. I don't know why, but I know she said she's doing the open category this year for it. So
yeah,
it's
she's
all
going to do the
yours,
Opens. Yeah,
man. Like,
the path's open. The only
so
person I
first
know
place,
is
yeah.
well, that's the goal. The only person I know that is definitely going to give me a run for my money is Sabrina, who's a German girl, and she did the Opens last year and did really well. And she's cut the weight. Dickhead.
Okay.
Absolute. What a bastard. Rude, to be honest.
I
So
hate when that
she's,
happens. I'm like, just stay in your
I
category.
know.
Just
Go
leave
back
me
to
alone.
Opens. He's strong enough. But yeah, so
Yeah.
she's coached by Sunny, and she's an absolute animal. So I think she'll give me an absolute run for my money, to be honest. But I'll
Yeah.
appreciate
Well,
it.
I think
So yeah,
podium is
let's go.
definitely realistic for you. Like,
That's the goal. Last year fourth. If I can do one better, then that's all progress in it with half a bicep less.
yeah,
So
yeah,
a win. And then
absolutely.
after
And
that
then
would
you have
be Natty
you have
Worlds. Yeah,
natural worlds, which is literally the week after. How are you feeling about like going from one like comp straight? Because like you finish on the Sunday and then you're competing on the Saturday. Like, do you know what I mean? You have 5 days of
yeah.
recovery there.
Yeah, my August is a write off, to be honest. Absolute write off. I don't know why. I don't know why in my head I thought planning this would be a good idea, but my August is basically Europe's 5 days, but I have to within that 5 days also get to Galway, Natural Worlds, and then 4 days my wedding, and then the day after my wedding I start my placement for university. So I've done terrible planning there.
Fabulous. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
really
this
good.
is August. If I make it through August without dying, I'll be surprised.
Honestly, I think they should just give you a trophy for like a first place just for that, for making
Just
it
getting
through that.
through it. Yeah, well, the thing is, I think as well because I've
Yeah.
got such high expectations. Obviously, Worlds like I'm only going there to return my title. I'm not going there like to get beat by anybody. So it's both like
Hmm.
fairly high pressure competitions and then straight into a wedding. So I mean, it's going to be a right sesh, but I'm going to be
Yeah.
ruined.
Yeah. I did the same
So
for my
what?
wedding. Like I had Ireland's, and then 4 days later I got married as well. And honestly, it's great because like you're so focused on the comms that you're just like you're not even worried. Like you're not in wedding stress mode at all. But like I was a very chill bride anyway, and I feel like you'd probably be the same. Like it's we're not one of those like people that run around worrying
Bridezillas,
about like
no.
little small bits or whatever. But like even still,
Well,
like it was just a
yeah,
grand distraction just before it. Like so, it's
yeah.
not as
This is
bad
what
as
I'm
people make it out
thinking.
to be. I don't think.
Nah, well, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not even
The
planning
only
my
thing
wedding.
is the
Ben's doing it.
bruising.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well, I was
one
saying
Ben.
this. Yeah, like literally, I was like, I ain't got the energy all the time, Ben. You're gonna have to do all this, mate. And he's done all of it. So
Yeah,
he's done
that's
really
good.
well. He's the bridezilla. But yeah, because I'd hit my chin with Axel the other day, and I had that horrible bruise on my double chin. Honestly, I was like, I'm not going to do Axel me before the wedding at all because I can't risk that. That's awful.
Yeah. No, I thankfully I got
So
right because we had Aisha did try. She was like, I know your wedding is after it, so I will do my best to make them like safe, friendly events. But she was like, I do obviously need to
yeah,
put in some sort of carry or like something. So they put in stones, which is probably the best because you can tape up like. But I did have like one
yeah,
bruise here, and there's literally just every photo I kept going like this, so you can just see this little like dot of a bruise in every single photo.
yeah.
But thankfully that was all. That was all I had, so it was okay. I would take that.
Yeah, no, I've got currently a massive bruise on my boob. I won't show you because it's a bit not suitable for its posting, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's massive.
live
Where I've
TV.
dropped a log on my chest, and I was like, this ain't gonna work.
Really?
I can't go to registry office with a big bruise on my boob. Like, hello everybody, don't mind me, I just do strongman.
Yeah, next Matty
But,
and OSG and just be like, "Hi, can you make these safe, friendly, not bruising events, please? Thank you for my wedding.
I
I
know,
would appreciate
yeah.
that."
There's no way.
I'm
Not
sure
eight
Matty would
events in
definitely
fucking
be
2 days.
I'm sure Matty would be very obliging. He loves to,
I,
make people happy and stuff.
I don't think there will be. I feel like now that they know that, they're probably going to change the events to try and make it worse for me.
Probably
They can't help
Matty definitely
themselves.
would
They
anyway.
can't.
He'd be like, "Fuck this."
Well,
No.
that's because I've called him out so many times
Um,
on his shit reffing.
I don't think you're the only one though. So like, you're like in a little group there at the moment. There's been a lot of people.
He's so funny. But anyway, well, that was pretty
It's
good.
not
I feel
shit
like we've
wrestling.
covered
It's
loads
good
there.
wrestling, but it's good wrestling.
Yeah, well, he's
Yeah,
had a
we
couple of
did.
them calls at UK, and I said I've called him out
Are you
on.
doing
But
Brits
anyway,
actually?
Brits. What
Are you
Brits?
doing Brits?
Which one?
The one at Fit Expo in Birmingham.
Nah,
No.
no.
Okay.
I don't.
That means I can
I haven't qualified.
try and be competitive at that because you're not there. You haven't qualified. Oh yeah, I wonder how actually because we all I suppose England's because we qualified from Ireland's.
Yeah,
I feel like they
yeah.
should
Well, I
just
think
give
it's
you.
the yeah, it's the England's qualifier. But for originally, before I had bicep off, I wasn't. So that England, I was actually going in at the Opens because I wanted the shot at Giants live. I wasn't going to do the 82s anyway because I wanted to be at Giants. So I was
Okay.
originally anyway qualified in the Open. So I don't think it'll go back anywhere. But it doesn't matter. I'll miss it this year. If I can get in next year, then I'll do it next
Yeah.
year. But it just
You should come
confuses me
down to it
that
anyway.
Brits is after Europe's. Yeah, I'll come and watch it for sure. But it definitely is confusing being after Europe's. But
Yeah, it
got
doesn't
to
really
fit
make
these
much
things
sense,
in where
but
you can, I
anyway.
guess.
Yeah,
One of
it
them,
gives me
innit?
a comp for like the end of the year though, so it kind of spaces out things nicely
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, and I think it gives people something if they're not going to do Worlds as well, doesn't it? Because, like, if you're not going to go and do OSG
Yeah.
Worlds, then you've got something in November to fill in the gap.
Fill in the gap, yeah.
Perfect. So, silly goosing. Because obviously this is the first time we've recorded on this contraption. I don't know how I'm going to get the silly goose song in, which I know Emma is going to be furious about. Well, I'll try and add it in post.
After? Can we
Well, this is
pause
what
and then?
Well, I actually think I've got it saved on my phone, so if I have, we'll just play it now and then we can dance to it too.
Play it on your phone.
Silly Goose final. Let's see if we've got it. I don't know if it'll pick it up. It should do.
Silly Goose. It's Silly Goose time, where our lips get loose and our minds run free. Silly Goose. It's Silly Goose time, where we chat a load of shit that's of absolutely no use. It's Silly Goose time.
Do you know what makes me laugh every time about that song is how much people fucking hate it. I love it too. I think it's fucking hilarious.
My favourite part of the
Every time. The minute I post an episode, the first messages I get is that Silly Goose song is stuck in my head and I can't get it out and I hate it. And I'm like, that's great. That's what I wanted it for. If it's stuck in your head, like the earworm, then exactly. So my Silly Goose question for you today, it's a bit of a two-parter, to be honest. Firstly,
I feel like I'm nervous about this than I am about the whole podcast.
This is the best part because I find out really odd opinions about people, which I love. So this has been fueled by mine and Ben's current Game of Thrones obsession. Do you think that dragons were real?
Absolutely.
When were they real? At what point?
Like dinosaur times.
Oh,
but also what size of dragon? Well, because there are dragons that are out there now. They're not fire breathing, but there are mini ones out there at the moment. Like dragons are real.
What? Like lizards, do you mean?
No, have I just made this up?
I think so.
I could have given that after. I'm pretty sure
no
there's
dragon.
like such thing as like it might actually be a dragon, but they're like that's their name.
I think there's
maybe
things
it's like
that,
a dragon lizard.
Yeah, well, I think there's things that are like lizards that have got wings, but I don't think they're dragons. But
they're dragons.
Well, I feel like there's so much. Oh, the skeleton's trying to make a move on me. I feel like there's so many things about dragons that no one could have just come up with that. It can't not be real. Like, they must have had some sort of like realism background in them. But then this leads me on to my next thought. What was their anatomy though? Like, if they were real, what was their anatomy like? Because in Game of Thrones it confuses me because they feel like they're really hardcore, no one can kill them, and then all of a sudden they just start dying all the time and they're well easy to kill. And I'm like, were they unkillable or were they really easy killable?
I just think they're very like pterodactyls, right? So I feel like, because you know the way everyone has like a species that is like very similar and like they just evolve and stuff. So I feel like, I don't know what came first, the dragons or the pterodactyls, but I feel like they're two of the same thing, but one can just breathe fire from somewhere. But maybe they stopped being able to breathe fire and that's how they that's how they all died then, because they lost their powers.
Interesting. Well, this then leads on to another train of thought. How would they have breathed fire? Breathed?
Because of some sort of science. Like, we obviously breathe out. We breathe out what? Nitrogen? We breathe out nitrogen. No. Carbon dioxide?
No,
what do we breathe out? Carbon dioxide.
Yeah, carbon dioxide.
Where's the nitrogen from?
We got there.
So, like, whatever they breathed, whatever the word is, out, that mixed with something in the air that created fire. Do you know the way like your blood oxidizes?
Yeah, so it's something to do with it reacting to the
something
oxygen.
Flammable. They breathe out something flammable. And then it's something to do with the
elements. Then leads to the question, how does it just ignite as it comes out of the mouth? How do the mouths not get burned?
Yeah. Because of adaptation. the same way that people used to walk around in their feet and not be sore.
That's a very good point, actually, to be fair. Yeah, I like that. I hadn't thought of it in that way, but that is a very good point. It just, I think I'd spent one night
Eventually
thinking
your
about
body's gonna...
dragons, and I'm like, how does it work?
I feel like
And,
I sound like
wonder-
I've spent a lot of nights thinking about dragons when I in fact have not. I have not thought about this topic at all.
Well, I feel like this is the greatest thing about Silly Goose is I just ask you a random question and then your honest, sudden thoughts of the situation come out, which is what it was meant for, is just to get raw thoughts. But yeah, I feel like, because I'm not sure, I wonder how much of a conspiracy theorist are you? Because I'm the sort of conspiracy theorist that believes there were civilizations before us, aka the Egyptians didn't build the fucking pyramids, or if they did, there were another race that got completely wiped out, and the only thing that was left of them is the pyramids. We've sort of made up that the Egyptians did that. They didn't. They weren't moving those things. So in my head, dragons were in a different civilization well before us, and that folklore has just been brought down through the civilizations.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would believe that. Sure, there's like a secret, like, not a secret, but there's like a town or something. I can't remember where. I think it's in like the Amazon, where it's like in the river, but it's all like washed out. But it was like, it used to be this massive like place,
functioning
like
city,
a city. Yeah. But they don't know who lived there, like what was there before them. So like there definitely was stuff. I also believe that mermaids and like creatures live in the sea. Like 90% of the sea is undiscovered. You cannot tell me that there's not stuff down there that we don't know about.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Like, I think there's so much stuff in the sea, and it's terrifying. And I agree. There's no way. We find out so much stuff all the time about it, and you're like, how are we still finding out this much stuff? Like, we should know this by now.
Like, NASA started going down to the ocean, but then they stopped and started going to space. I feel like they discovered something. They were like, no, fuck this. Let's go upwards instead.
I feel like that. I feel like, in our lifetime, there's going to be something crazy, like something come out of the sea, or something come out of like deep Earth or outer space, or something like that. There's conspiracies definitely happening, and it's got to happen at some point.
Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about conspiracies, but like I just have certain opinions that I believe to be true. Not opinions, but I'm just like, yeah, that's definitely something.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I agree. We're definitely not here on our own.
I just think it's funny. I don't give it a lot of thought, but your birds aren't real makes me laugh. I hate birds. I'm terrified of birds as well. So
you'd fucking hate my house.
I have the biggest bird phobia. Yeah, I do always have to. I don't really mind like owls and stuff, but if they started flapping, no. Like I don't mind them when I can just look at them, but anything that flaps, I have a huge phobia. It's the wings. I don't know.
I know a few people like this who don't like the flapping.
Yeah, a bird flew into my head once when I was initially, like straight into my face. So ever since that, I've just been not a fan.
not a fan of birds. Nah, I am a fan of birds, apart from the fact that none of them are real. I don't know whether you might have been able to hear it. I don't know if it'll have picked up on the recording because I've got the noise reduction thing on. But before, when we were laughing, Alan, my house owl, started like doing his jungle noises because he always laughs when I laugh. And he's downstairs. But I 100%, I'm getting to a point where I don't believe that Alan's real, right? Because Alan has lived in our house now for 7 or 8 years, but before that he was like 3 or 4 years old, so he's like 11 or 12 now. They shouldn't live for that long. He's only like this big. He's tiny, and I'm like, you're probably just a government spy.
You look so much bigger in your stories.
No, he's tiny, absolutely tiny. One day I'll go and get him, and I'll bring him into a podcast.
If you don't think birds are real, so if you don't think birds are real and you think they're the government, why do you have them in your house? Because then the government can see right in.
Well, because if the government are in the birds and they are in my house and they find things out about me, well, how are they going to come back with that for me? How are they going to come in and be like, oh, we know you've been doing this? And I'll be like, well, how? Because we're in the birds. They'd have to admit to being in the birds, wouldn't they? So almost I'm calling the government's bluff by having them at my house.
Try and make them.
I'm trying to catch the
You're trying to
government out
out
with
them.
the birds. Yeah. I'm just seeing how
Sure.
far I can
I
push
see
them
the
before
vision.
they're
I see
like,
the vision.
fuck, we need to put her in jail before she gets too powerful.
Fair. I see the vision.
But that's just admitted me to being absolutely crazy. Oh well,
Okay.
I think everyone already knows that anyway. Yeah, that's
like,
what
I don't
sent
think
everyone
Alan
over the
wants
edge.
to Okay.
Oh well, right. Well, that was a pretty good silly goosing. Have you got anything else to add? Any final thoughts for the pod? Any final thoughts for the people?
No, I'm all good. Gotten everything off my chest, you know. Not that there wasn't much on my chest, but no, just looking forward to comps and stuff now. I will see you very soon.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was a good one, so I'll stop the recording now. Thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully, if this makes it to YouTube without being such shit video quality, and also if you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow. Jade, is it Jade Harkin still on Instagram? No, it's Jade H, isn't it? What's your Instagram tag?
It's just Jade H PT. Yeah, so Jade H _ PT. It's really handy because now I don't have to change my initials because we both have the same initials. So Jade H _ PT.
Very, very handy. Yeah, I'll add it in show notes if you want to find Jade and follow her. You do post a lot of very good stuff, and you've got like is it a newsletter that you do as well for women? What's the little clinic that you do?
Are you talking about the health clinic?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't run another one since just because I've been so busy, but I ran a clinic for women. It's basically just to inform women on shit that goes on in your body that we should know, but none of us do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do that. But like that, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to keep up with when my next one is and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on and thanks for chatting to me, and I will see you in a bit.
Thanks for having me. See you soon.